All right, long time no see. It's been a few minutes for us, probably a day for all you viewers at home, but believe it or not, we're back with 8 more teams to look at in the Hearthstone Conference. Just in case you missed the previous session, let's all introduce ourselves one more time. Daddy, what are you showing the camera there? Let me see that. What do you got there? Little.
Modelo.
Oh.
It's a little south of the border here for round 2.
Wow. You know, I'm joining you. I got my Corona tonight.
There
Right
we
here.
go.
It's the night of the Mexican lager. I love
Every
it.
day Cinco de Mayo up in
Yeah.
here. Yeah, so I'm Daddy. I'm back again. For me, it feels weird to do another introduction because I just did one about an hour ago. But for you guys, it's totally normal. So if my friends call me Daddy, you know where I be.
I'll go
my
next.
friends call me Colby. Oh, never mind. You can go next.
All right, I'll go next.
Start over. No.
Yeah, we're gonna start over. Sakaba from the top.
You know, I'll cut that out in post. Don't worry. Just go again.
Perfect. I'm the doctor. I'm leaning into it this season. I'm getting my degrees, and Samax is paying for it.
That's right.
I am Colby. I'm Dameron. I am the coach of the Boca Raton Valley Bolts, and I'm here to talk about more teams in the Hearthstone Conference.
And I am Steve, and as a basic bitch, I am drinking a pumpkin-flavored ale from Great Lakes Brewing in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Wow. Local.
Which of us is more basic? Given
I don't even know what that is.
LaCroix?
Wow.
Maybe
Colby's intro is so
strictly
catchy.
American
Like, can anybody get Colby's intro out of their head? You have nailed it, my friend. You were with
I am
that
Colby,
intro.
I am Dameron, coach of
Even
the
the
Boca
cadence,
Raton
like the cadence is
It's
just
true,
locked
I
in
love
everybody's brain.
And he's always bringing the hype. And you know what? That's what we need for this draft review because we got
That's
8
right.
more teams to look at here in this great Hearthstone Conference.
Speaking of hype,
Yeah.
Speaking of hype.
And we've also got a new coach to the VBL-S, Miss Mag. No stranger to Draft League. Obviously, he's been a really, incredible member to a lot of other communities, and we're happy to have Miss Mag along. JDB, you want to take on this team we got here from Miss Mag?
Do I want to take it on? Maybe. Do I want to talk about it? Absolutely. So we've got we got some manual rain going on again here. With, I think, better setters in Grafii and Electrode. Although I'm not very high on Electrode at all, generally. But Grafii I do like. I love Prankster. Although, also, I think Grafii is probably at the bottom of my list of Prankster Pokemon. But I love Prankster so much that it's still pretty great. The cheaper Baskia Legion, I understand. When you're paying 20 points for an Amorous, 22 for Rillaboom, you got to shave a few points here and there where you can. Gudra I like a lot, just generally as a Mon. I've gone from I don't get it to okay, now I get it. This thing is scary to see on the other side. The one thing that there's like some Pokemon that I don't like so much as well. I mean, I mentioned Electrode I'm not super high on. Girafarig is not for Farigiraf, and Girafarig is not Oranguru. But it's fine, and it's cheap, and it's gonna... I don't know. What's it gonna do? It's gonna take 2 hits.
it still
set
has
Trick
inner
Room.
focus.
It does. I mean, yeah, it has inner focus, which is nice.
That Zipper is
this is-
situationally good too.
Yeah, this is definitely the better Enamorous form, I think. I like the contrary. Grassy what's it called? Grassy Glide getting a nerf, kind of a bummer, but I mean it's still good. There's a lot of Pokemon that are gonna like Manual Rain other than just Baskia Legion as well, right? I mean, Rillaboom appreciates the defensive benefits.
Quagsire can do a little bit of damage with it, as opposed to
yeah,
damage.
Quagsire can maybe run a water type move. It does get Scald's back, right? So
I don't think this is a rain team. I think that this has a Swift Swim Pokemon. I think this has Electro that wants to click Thunder, maybe. But I think that this doesn't need to be a rain team. I think this is just a mid-range good stuffs team and I think it's a very good stuffs team. I want to focus on the Enamorus a little bit. It has Contrary and Superpower, which I have Lurantis. That's the same thing, right? No. Enamorus is actually a good Pokemon, but I don't think it's seen any success in VGC or in last season's draft league. Sukama, you
Camo
had
made
the other Enamorus, right?
Yes.
Camo made semis with this Enamorus. He beat
did.
me in the quarters.
Okay.
With Superpower.
Enamorus is phenomenal and excellent and makes semis, so I'm wrong. I remember
Electric had a
Electric
tough time,
complaining.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember Electric complaining and dropping it, and it just not being
Well,
as bulky as he wanted it to be.
well, that's the thing about Enamorus. I think this mon got a bad rep. You know, Electric, I think, was trying to use it like the Tailwind setter that his team needed, and that's not what this mon needs. This mon is a damage dealer that needs support. I don't think Enamorus is the support you want, because it's not bulky enough to live the hits, and it's not fast enough to warrant that kind of like fast Tailwind mode. Like, you can kind of just kill Enamorus, right? So what do you need to do with Enamorus? You need to enable it, and the best mons to enable Enamorus are either Pranksters or fast mons that have stat drop abilities, and he's got two of them. He's got the Grafaiai and the Electrode. I'm not really sure what Grafaiai gets as far as
Lear.
Lear. Does he get like fake tears maybe, or
Lear can't be side targeted, I believe.
No, but it's for them.
I am unsure of
'cause
what
it does
Grafaiai
both.
gets, but I know
Yeah.
Electrode gets
Oh,
both.
parting shot.
Okay, yeah, that could be decent. You
All
could
right.
get Electrode gets Scary Face and
Yeah, it gets Scary
Eerie
Face.
Impulse, which is very good to boost up Enamorus. When I played the Enamorus team last season, I actually lost to this Electrode Enamorus combo. It just kind of wrecked me.
Gets Screech as well
Yeah,
as a
it's the perfect
so you
partner.
can
The
target
perfect partner.
target
You know,
both.
I think this team is definitely like one of those top heavy teams. Like, we've seen a lot of top heavy teams so far in this conference, and I think this one fits right in there. You know, which is just par for the course when you pick 3 or 4 mons that are in that like 15 to 20 point range, right? You're gonna naturally end up with a more top heavy team. But the low tiers here are worthwhile. Like the Bombardier we saw have a lot of success last season on was it Dr.
Ben's.
Hawkeye Ben's team, right?
Yep, on Ben's team.
Yeah, and
The
he
real
was
doctor.
able to make good
The actual
use.
doctor.
He was able to make good use out of the Bombardier. We've got the Quagsire, which has always proven to be one of those mons that can become unkillable if you get it in the right endgame situation. If you don't bring grass coverage and you don't have a nice wall breaker, then you can just lose to Quagsire. It's happened to the best of us, right? And that's kind of a theme with this team where he has like a lot of good bulk, I would say. Like the Rillaboom can be bulky with that grassy terrain regen as well. The Quagsire can be bulky. The Goodra can be incredibly bulky. This Goodra is an absolute menace with the steel typing being added on the Hisui form. So I'm a pretty decent fan of this team. You know, I don't think it's the perfect Enamorus team because it would really appreciate some additional support, I think. Like maybe in the speed control options, like a better Tailwind setter besides itself would be appreciated. But it does have options that are going to make this mon good.
Yeah,
The-
the speed control options in terms of Tailwind and Trick Room don't feel phenomenal, but the speed tiers on this team do feel phenomenal.
Definitely.
Does
Yeah,
McCurker do anything?
yes, it has Shell Smash.
It hatches your eggs twice as fast.
That too. That most importantly.
If you look at the moves, because I was gonna pick Mag Cargo and then they sniped me. Beat up. They have Girafarig as a beat up mon. I have Ambipom and a weakness policy, weak armor, Terra, whatever that's weak to dark, plus beat up Mag Cargo. Is a strat that could steal you some games, but he doesn't really have that. He
That
could
sounds like Colossal with
Yeah,
extra stats.
I was going to say that's
Yeah.
Colossal at home right there.
exactly. He does have. They do have stuff like Rillaboom, Bullet Seed if they want to like do that, but it still has like 90 special attack. It can do some damage in Trick Room if it is stuck in that situation.
Yeah.
All right.
And on the physical defensive side, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Does it have body press? I'll look it up real
120.
quick.
I think so.
It does not.
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see how this Basket Legion works. You know, like, doesn't have to be a Swift Swim mon, like Kobe was saying. Like, this is not necessarily a rain team just because you have a Swift Swim mon. You know, that option is certainly there with the Rain Dance on the Grafaiai, but majority of the time, I don't think you necessarily want to be burning the slot on Rain Dance when that's your only main abuser. You know, this thing can definitely take advantage of the adaptability. Although, if you're going to run adaptability Basket Legion, it really appreciates having that premier Tailwind to get it to go first, which I think is not really present on this team, because if you're using Enamoris as a Tailwind bot, you're not using it to its potential, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see how he enables that Mon to do well, considering it does seem to be like a significant part of his team plan here as a 14-point third pick, right?
Yeah.
I put this team in.
This is a team.
God.
All right. This team loves the fact that freeze dry does not have a very wide distribution.
Yeah.
Because man, if you could get all that into one move, it kills the whole team.
And just one last point on just drafting strategy. Tinkatuff is either not coming or is going to come once. Can we agree on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%.
So if we
It's
turn
a type
that
chart.
into a Tinkatink, we upgrade this electrode into a Hisuian electrode. The exact same point value. You have Chloroblast coming off of the grassy terrain from Rillaboom, and you remove one of those ground weaknesses.
See, the only problem with that plan is that I actually have Tinkatink, and I'm not giving him up. You can try him for my cold dead hands, Miss Mag.
But if it doesn't come anyway, just turn it into a.
Yeah, just turn it
No,
into
I
a
know.
1 point.
Like,
I'm
you're
totally
right.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
You're right. You're
but
right.
like, it's there for the type chart, right?
It
so
is.
like,
It is.
Do it for
Like-
the type chart, guys.
Chloroblast on grassy terrain would have been insane. I just don't know why you went with normal electrode over Hisuian electrode here. Maybe they had some
I
plan that got
think
messed
that
up with point values.
I think Hisuian doesn't get Screech.
Could be.
Oh, that could be it. Yeah.
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 Does it get?
Yeah, it does. And Scary
It
Face.
does. Yeah, and
It
scary
gets all
face.
the stuff, and it gets.
It
the
does
added
not get
benefit.
Eerie Impulse apparently, so that is
That's-
probably.
Ooh.
There are a
Yeah.
couple of them. There's a couple
Really?
of weird moves that base doesn't get. Like
So
base
I
gets and the other one doesn't
apologize.
get.
I am
Yeah,
clearly incorrect. You definitely want it for the Eerie
Oh
Impulse.
yeah, that's definitely significant.
Yeah.
Good catch. Yeah, I mean, I think the Gudras, this was actually a post-draft transaction that we were just talking about in the last video about how, it can be worthwhile sometimes to swap out major moves right after the
Yeah,
draft.
it was.
And Miss Mag corrected the end of his draft by upgrading Gudra to the Hisuian form, which I think is definitely a big
Yeah,
move for his team.
dropped Lucario, Gudra, and Skuntank for the Gudra, the Quagsire, and the Bombardier, which I think is
That's a big win.
upgrades.
Also dropped a Whiskash for Tinkatuff. So,
Type chart.
Oh,
yeah, they already had
Type chart.
Quagsire. They picked up Quagsire. Why do you also need Whiskash?
Fair.
I like it. It's in an A tier for me, a low A tier, because I feel like there's still things about this team that I don't understand yet that Miss Meg has plans for, and I'm going to preemptively put it in A tier because someone's going to get rocked by some crazy
Yeah,
thing.
and
Oh
I
my
just-
god!
I think there's something to be said about just the solid spread of Mons he has here that have synergy together, and I think a great coach like him is going to make it work. So I'm going to put it in the low A tier. I think I prefer it a little bit to Heaven's team. So
I
believe
like
in
Heaven's
everything
team
but
better.
Tink.
But I'm actually going to I'm moving Heaven up to A tier and putting this at the top of B tier.
I'm
So
not
we're
quite as high
all
on
in
this
more or
team.
less
I have
the
it.
same
I have it
general
bottom of
area.
B. Except me, I'm not as high on this team as you guys.
all right.
Daddy with a contrary opinion?
It's for the first one I've had. I'm
Shame
actually
to you.
shocked. My list is like very similar to your guys, and it's kind of upsetting. So
All right. We were just talking about Rain. Here's a Rain team.
Yeah, Rain team. Here's a real Rain
Here's a
team.
Rain
purple,
team.
a purple
It is
rain.
a
Rain
purple
team.
rain team. I'm okay. I'm a big fan of the way Purple Rain drafts. I think that his drafts are always very well balanced. I think that Purple Rain knows how to pilot a team and always has a very clear goal with their teams. And oh look, it's not only a Rain team with Polytoad, Basket Legion, and Jolteon, but it's also it is also a Perish Trap team with Polytoad, Gothitelle, and what else do you need? I don't know. Gliscor to be bulky, Gliscor to be value.
Something to take a KO or two. So
What else
also
you need
Basket
is
Legion.
something with Parting Shot, which would be more Pico. Fits perfectly well on a Perish Trap team.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that thing got party shot,
or
but that's
your
awesome.
own ghost type to switch out of.
Yeah.
You can switch out of your own anyway.
I I do think that you do need to take a kill or two to make a Perish Trap team work. I think Basket Legion's a great way to do that because you'll still get the rain. It's a really cool. I like the Polytoad Basket Legion Gothitelle core. It doesn't have that high point mon. Gothitelle being the Basket Legion being the highest at 18, but Polytoad and Gothitelle taking up a lot of points as premium support at 17. I wonder where this team is getting a bit of its power. It really needs to lean into that, get the boost from the rain and do the rain thing, get a weird kill with Perish Trap, do something unexpected with Reverie or Decidui. I'm concerned that this team lacks a bit of power and went a little bit hard into the value because when you go Moltres, when you go Gliscor, when you go Reverie, you have all of these value picks, but none of them have that big number.
Yeah, I agree. Moltres can be a very potent offensive threat, but I feel like most of the time it is not going to be. You can bulk that thing out, and with Terra, it's got options for the rain, it's got options outside of the rain. I feel like Moltres is kind of a steal for 12 points and fits really well into this team, but I agree overall that you might want to add a little bit more offense into this team.
Moltres is actually like an incredible mon in rain now that Weather Ball is back. You get 100% accurate hurricanes, Terra Water, Stab, Weather Ball.
Yep.
I mean, weak fire moves, whatever. Who cares? Don't bring rain if you want to run a fire Moltres.
Yeah.
But yeah, this mon's an incredible rain mon. Plus you got the thunders coming out of Jolteon. The rain helping Revavroom and Decidui for their fire weakness if the other team has good fire types. I think it's really well constructed. Azurill and Meowth will either not come or... Like, you already have Polytoad, why would you bring Azurill? Meowth, I guess, would come for... No, Meowth wouldn't come, because you have more Pico. Yeah, this is a 9-mon team. I think it's well constructed.
It's very well constructed.
I don't know that I'm a super believer in Gliscor.
Me either.
Nobody is.
Yeah, I think it was maybe tiered a little higher than it should be, because people like it in singles, and Electric, Poppin, and Jace are all singles players, and this tier list has a lot of their influence.
Wait, what's wrong with Gliscor?
It just doesn't really do much. It sits there for a long time with Poison Heal, but I'm just not crazy. Like,
all my friends are dead.
Isn't that what you want? To sit there a long time and not die when you're clicking on Perish Trap?
Yeah.
It just feels like you kind of ignore it depending on the partner and then just prioritize double targeting the threat. I mean, I'm not saying it can't work. Like, obviously we have good players in this league. Purple and Pop and both have Blister, and I'm sure this thing is going to win some end games for them, right? But like, overall for the 10-point value, I think it's a little too passive for my liking, and a lot of other VGC players, the way they play, it's not doing enough to warrant its spot on the field, but I could definitely see myself eating my words on that if we see it do well this season.
Jolteon's super fast, but speed control might be a little bit of an option or a little bit of a negative for this team too. Like Trick Room particularly, it might struggle with. There's not any slow options on this team.
I think for speed, you're really relying on the Swift Swim, Basket Legion, putting in a lot of work.
Yeah.
And also on that Perish Trap mode, not caring about speed, right? Like, I think Perish Trap actually comes a decent bit on this team. Just given the amount of investment.
I want to see some Reverie Trick Room modes. I mean, with the Gliscor and the Moltres, you have those nice ground immunities. You have Gothitelle to get a great mon to help Reverie set up and get in Trick Room. I want to believe in this team. I want to see a couple of big numbers on this team, and it's kind of hard when you spend 17 points on both Polytoad and Gothitelle.
Yeah.
But I think Basket Legion is the perfect strong mid-point pick.
I think it's one of the cheapest Polytoads there's ever been in the VBL.
Polytoad is also more expensive than Pelipper, which I don't understand. Pelipper in draft, in my opinion anyway, unless you're running Perish Trap, which Purple is running Perish
Team
Trap.
wants, yeah.
But otherwise, Pelipper is going to be better than Polytoad every other time, because it has Tailwind, it has Wide Guard. That's it.
And
That's enough.
I think you did bring this up, Kobe, about how Decidui gets covered by the rain as well if they have a fire weak team. I think Decidueye has a really good place on this team as that consistent physical damage dealer that can't be fake outed. You're going to have trouble killing it unless you have a strong flying type attack. And
It's Decidueye Hisui. It can be faked out.
oh, I meant intimidated. Sorry.
Can't be intimidated.
Oh, sure.
That's what I misspoke. Yeah. So it can't be intimidated. And, you know, I use Decidueye, so maybe I'm a little biased, but this thing can do incredible damage. You throw a scope lens on it with the triple arrows, and it can absolutely smoke. Like, this thing took 4 KOs for me in 4 turns, I think, just with a scope lens, getting a crit every time. Like, it's crazy. So the damage is not to be slept on. But, yeah, I will say that, you know, it was well said, whoever said it, that when you spend 34 points on Politoed and Gothitelle, obviously you're going to struggle a little bit in the damage department with that heavy, big number that we were looking for that's missing here.
Let's be clear, Perish Trap is not easy to play. Because if you screw up...
I'm, like, afraid of it. I just can't do it.
If you screw up a single turn, like you switch out your Gothitelle, predicting something like coming in will get double targeted and die, and then it just doesn't, then the opponent can switch out.
Yeah. You know, I think Heaven ran Perish Trap a few times last season, and there were times where, like, it looked like he had, like, such a good game going where, like, he had it set up and he got the KOs, but he spent so much getting it off that the last 2 Mons just won the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it is difficult to win with Perish Trap, but I'm excited to see if Purple can pull it off. What do we think tiering-wise for this team? I think A is kind of where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I like it. It's better than Heaven's team. Do I like it more than the Mawiles? Jabalistar. Oh no, I really do like that Cornerstone Blood Moon Orangaroo.
I've got it in a high B, just under the Piplups.
That's where I have it too. Same place.
I think I'm a little higher on this team. I have it in A.
Yeah, I like it a little more.
Below
as
Jay's
well.
team, but that's all right. We're gonna move
You
on.
say below Jace's team?
Well,
Well, yes, but by
yes,
who?
but maybe no. I don't know.
What?
All right. Well, anyway, moving on. What? I don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about Red Jolteon's team. Welcome to the VBL, buddy. You've got a really cool team that I love, and I'm going to talk about it right now. So I really think these first 4 picks are just incredible. I love this. You got the Baxcalibur taking advantage of that ice boost from the Abomasnow. You got a nice little ice mode there. And I don't think we've actually seen the Murkrow and the Golden Go in draft since this Gen 9 series has started. And I think people may have forgotten how potent this combo actually is. When the seasons first dropped, when Gen 9 first dropped, Golden Go and Murkrow was rampant on the ladder. And it is so tricky to deal with because Golden Go's main thing is like you want to be clicking Make It Rain. And when you do so, you're making yourself weaker. So you have to be selective about when you click it, so that you're not ending up sitting there as a potato at -2, right? The Murkrow kind of eliminates the need for that while also providing that tailwind support that Golden Go desperately wants with that base 84 speed stat. So it's a match made in heaven with the Prankster Haze eliminating those stat drops. Now, is that easier to play around when you know it's coming in Draft League? Absolutely, right? But I really do think we're going to see this combo remind everybody why it dominated the ladder early on. I'm very high on it personally. As far as the rest of the draft, after those picks, you know, we do have some value picks that he went for. You know, I think spending 13 on the Mesprit may have been a bit of a blunder here. I think that Mon is not quite worth that amount. I had it last season. 13's high, right? Like, I
It
got
was an exciting sync draft moment.
Kobe, what did we get it for last season? Was it 7 or 8?
9.
9? Yeah.
Oh.
Like, that was good value. I think the 4 increase on that is a little steep. Like, it's certainly a decent Mon, and I loved using it. It was good. But to pay 13 for that hurts, I feel like, right? And, you know, the other, I'm personally not a Barraskewda believer. I feel like it hits something.
Barraskewda is going to blow up some teams, I guarantee.
I'm excited to see it, especially with Prankster Rain, but also like Propeller Tail is pretty cool. And nobody has really used Barraskewda. I can't remember ever it being used in VBL. I feel like we've overpriced it a lot of times.
Yes.
And now I feel like it's finally in a place where somebody felt like they could and should draft it. I'm kind of excited to see what it does.
It just really wishes it had like Icy Wind, right? Like to take advantage of that that speed stat. It's just if you're bringing Barraskewda, you're committing to it being that glass cannon offensive mon, and it doesn't have a strong spread move, so you're basically clicking one thing with a water move. If they read a good protect, it's useless, and then it just dies. Like it's hard to use effectively, I think, which is why we haven't seen it. But there is merit to the fact that Propeller Tail is an interesting ability in a format that just received several new redirectors in the Ogre Pond forms. So that could be cool.
And I feel like, real quick, sorry to interject again, but like when it's a lower point value and you don't feel obligated to bring it 4 out of 7 weeks or more, then I feel like it brings more value to a team, because you have to consider it in prep. And then you also, like, as a coach that drafts it, you sort of feel guilty when you have a mon that costs, over 15-20% of your points. You feel like you have to bring it every week, but with Barraskewda dropping in point value, you don't feel that need to bring it every week. So for 8 points, maybe.
I love Barraskewda. I'm into it. I think it's worth running. I don't think it needs Icy Wind. I think it needs a choice band and a stage. But also ice mode. We have Baxcalibur, Abomasnow. We have the defensive boosts from them. We have we have the Aura Veil from Abomasnow. I think that could be real with this team. One of the things I kind of look at this team and I see the top 4 and I love them, and then I don't know what the other 2 mons are. It's kind of a grab bag of value question mark of, do you believe in Golem? I'm a big Persian believer, but do I need it when I've got Murkrow? I don't know what I'm looking for in the last 2 mons, but I don't think. Oh, Barraskewda, I guess. What is supposed to go into the after Bax, Abomasnow, Golem, Go, Murkrow? What else is supported by that on this team?
I'm a Golem
choice
believer.
band, Galvanize, Explosion, of course.
Yes, James, yes.
I really agree with that assessment. I just added a number here. That's the total cost of their first 5 Pokemon is 81 points. And I think the Mesprit is not the mon you want to be contributing to that high investment of your first 5. Like, I really love the first 4. I feel like this Mesprit can become something else that is a little more threatening, I want to say. But at the same time, if you get rid of the Mesprit, now you have no mode of setting Trick Room. And that could be
But, like, what if that was Hatterene?
Yep, Hatterene is available.
Mm-hmm.
At the same point value. Yeah. Suddenly, you have a mon that, like, I didn't even realize Hatterene was available at the same point
for
value.
Your choice band, Galvanize Golem.
There's your Trick Room. There's a
Rab.
mon that can take over a game. Like,
there you go. Brings back your Golem.
Here's the thing, though. Hatterene is Hatterene.
Here comes the
bad.
Hatterene hater.
Hatterene is bad as your Trick Room setter. I think it's just not very good in general, but particularly if it's the Pokemon that is setting Trick Room for you and then expected to do something in Trick Room. It just doesn't have the bulk. And it's not I'm not saying that it's not bulky at all, but for it to set Trick Room and then perform in Trick Room, I don't think that it has the sauce for it.
I'm not saying that it has to be Hatterene, but I think a lot of times we're looking at these teams and we're saying, oh yeah, the top 6, but then you swap out one of them. And here I'm like, the top 4, and then you have 2 roster slots that I'm not excited about. And that feels weird.
Yeah.
And I keep looking at a lot of these point totals and we're like, oh, the first X picks or X% of the point value. We just don't have a lot of points this gen. I think this season. The teams are overall weaker or taller at least. And where do you find that value? Is Barraskewda the sauce because it's 8 points, or is 8 points because, hey, that's actually a real mon because I just spent 8 whole points on it.
I will say that Bax is crazy strong, and with snow and maybe like an assault vest or something, like all of a sudden that thing is a bulk monster. It's got 145 base attack. It can't be burned. Like, that Pokemon paired with the
base power dragon move with no drawback aside from the damage you take, but that doesn't matter if the thing is dead, right? Like, yeah. I used Baxcalibur. It was really good, and it's really good if you have a strong Tailwind setter, which he does in Murkrow. So that's, like I said, the top 4, I don't think there's any denying, has great synergy, a great core, and maybe this Mesprit is here to be a bulky Imprisoned Trick Room. Like, this team does not want Trick Room up. Like, you have Slowmons in theory, but I think in practice it's hard to bring Golem and Camerupt with the rest of those top 4 and use them effectively, right? Like, I don't think it's enough to just bring the camera up and be like, now you can't set Trick Room. Like, I don't think most teams care about that, right? Like, it is tricky. So maybe this Mesprit, that's its niche here, is it's imprison Trick Room with some solid stat distribution that can bulk up. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's what we're missing, and that's why they paid such the premium for Mesprit. I don't know.
I mean, the one thing I will say about camera up though is it would be nice to lead something like Murkrow and Mesprit. You get your Trick Room set up, and you set up Sun for the camera up, and then Eruptions going first is obviously really nice, right?
You better hope you get
Sounds
that
like Torkoal with
though.
extra steps. Torkoal home.
The problem with that is like
and a quarter of the points are less.
I guess then you have like a more supportive Murkrow and Mesprit. You better hope the camera up is pulling its weight. Otherwise, you've got some dead weight in the back. But I don't know. I mean, it's fair. There is other options. I kind of agree with what Kobe said before. Is like the Persian feels a little out of place when you already have the premier support of Murkrow. I don't think you're ever opting for Persian speed control options over Murkrow's. The Persian's maybe there for a fake out to help you get your setup that you want. But I'm not really seeing that as a very consistent thing that you'd bring with those first four.
I want a CF. I think we all agree that the Mesprit was overcharged because that's how Sync Draft and you got, which is kind of funny and an exciting thing that happened. I think we all want to see a solid 5th Mon over the Mesprit, and maybe with the Persian. Who knows? But Persian, I'm a big believer in. But
I think Persian's good too. But Persian's on this team, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's throw it in the tier lists. What do we think on this one? The Red Jolteon's team.
I like it a little more than Camo, so mid to high B for me.
I was putting it right below Camos.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it below Camos as well. But I really do love that top 4. This was my favorite team after 4 picks, for sure. All right.
And you only need 4 Mons in a VGC match.
Just bring them every week, baby.
Honestly, like this team's gonna win a lot of games. I'm just saying. I really think that core is so strong. But we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, we're gonna look at a really good team. This is probably one of my favorites in the conference, honestly, and I'm gonna explain why. Because I really like the synergy. I think if we're looking at synergy, this is one of like the most complete teams that we've looked at so far tonight. Like, I love this team that's built around that psychic fighting dark ghost core, right? Like those, like we talk about cores, we think the fairy dragon steel, the fire water grass are what most people go for, and I love this idea of going for this alternate core that's also really good. You are taking advantage of that psychic terrain. You have the Drifloom, which I think is going to be a massive player here, not only to set speed control but to take an Unburden boost and deal a decent offensive output. It certainly can be not passive with a 90 special attack stat and access to those shadow balls and whatnot, Destiny Bond, weird stuff. The Drifloom's going to be a major player with
Strength
that
sap.
Psychic Seed. Yeah, Strength Sap for sure. The Urshifu though is obviously the major threat that we love to see. And, that's something that a lot of these other teams have been lacking, is that a lot of teams in our conference did not go for those major high tiers, the 27, 25 pointers. This team has that, and it has the tools to back it up. It's got the Fungus for the redirection and the Spore, the anti-Trick Room support. It's got the Indeedee Follow Me that can enable Urshifu to, do its business. It has priority blocking in the Psychic terrain, which Urshifu doesn't like getting faked out, right? It likes running a boosting item.
It likes having a Sucker Punch, though, so... Yeah.
Fair. That is a decent point. And when you have the Indeedee, we got the late round value in the Armor Rouge, which we've seen the Expanding Force combo I think every season so far to mixed success. I don't think it's quite as good in draft as it is on the ladder, obviously, because you could just bring Terra Dark and then it kind of just dissolves. But you also have that Armor Rouge Dush Bun combo with the Lava Plume, which we've seen have some success. The Donphin is great value as a Trick Room option, which I like. You have the decent Trick Room mode, honestly, with the Indeedee, the Fungus, the Donphin, maybe even like the Armor Rouge operating under Trick Room. So, while this team definitely has its flaws, which I'm sure we're about to talk about, I just really like it for the sole fact of it has so much synergy that's really cool. And I think this is the best iteration of this Indeedee Armor Rouge team that we've seen so far. What do you guys think?
I mostly agree with you. I definitely see a lot of those same synergies there. I am concerned that Ryan may have fallen into the James Dalton Bell trap of drafting no offense which I often find myself doing.
This team?
Maybe I did a little bit this team too.
This team has no offense?
There's really only
No,
three
There's
attackers.
two. There's yeah.
It has three total Pokemon with offensive stats over 100.
Basculin as well with adaptability.
Okay, fair. But
One is Donphan. Are we considering Donphan one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dolphins
in a literal sense, yeah, 120 is over 100.
Yeah, it's legit for 7 points.
Yeah. So I think there might be some how am I going to close games going down, like, you know, maybe your Urshifu goes down before you want it to, and now you just have no way to get through something that's especially bulky and not physical. You know, I think it's just maybe a little too the linchpins are maybe holding a little more than you would want them to on an what is otherwise, I think, a very solid and well-rounded team.
Yeah.
I think. You go ahead. I'm still formulating.
The only thing I was gonna say is that, like, I think what we've seen with a lot of these Indeedee Armor Rouge teams in the seasons past is that if you bring Terra Dark, you kind of just shut them down, right? But this team has the tool to deal with that in the Urshifu. Like, the Urshifu does not care if you Terra Dark. In fact, it encourages it so it can take advantage with those, you know, those close combats that are just gonna OHKO you. Like, I think what we've seen lacking in this past teams is that strong fighting type that can take it out. And yes, the Urshifu is holding a lot of offensive weight here, and I do agree that the offense can be a little lacking, but you do have scaling on the Dutch Bun. I think the Dutch Bun maybe actually holds more value here than we've normally seen it, and it's going to come more than we think. And, you know, body press is legit on a Dutch Bun if you're in the right matchup. And in a team that encourages Terra Dark, it can definitely eat. That's all I'm going to say.
I think the Driftblim is out of place. I think it works super well synergistically with the Indeedee, but Urshifu doesn't appreciate Terra Darks because it wants to be clicking on Wicked Blow. It actually doesn't like clicking on Close Combat or Sucker Punch.
That's fair.
And the Terra Dark will also get eaten by the Driftblim. If Driftblim was a Pokemon that punched the Terra Dark, and I think Dashbun for, 6 points, having both Play Rough and Body Press, kind of cool, but yeah, it does hold a lot of weight. And only one Pokemon can Terra Dark, right? So I do think that this team has plenty of offense. Armor Rouge, just having Armor Cannon is such a powerful attack, and having that big special fighting, a fire move is huge. I think that the Driftblim is the slot that we have the Indeedee and the Fungus and the Driftblim. You didn't need all of that support. Maybe it's just fine. Maybe like Basculin with adaptability, Donphan, Squawkabilly's got a real attack stat. What is it, 90 something?
Yeah, with Hustle Boost if you want to play the roulette.
Ooh.
Yeah, we saw Heaven miss literally every attack he ever made with Squawkabilly for an entire season.
I played with Durant in a season without Dynamax, and I did not miss a single attack the whole season, and I brought it a few games. So listen, you get lucky sometimes. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But you know, now that you mention it, I really wish this team had a way to activate weak Armor Rouge reliably. Like, on the ladder, you see this a lot with like the Meowscarada U-turn into the Indeedee for that synergy to get the weakness policy, weak armor. Like, I think that's a mode that this team could potentially benefit from, is like, hey, I could go fast with my Armor Rouge, weak armor, and you have to have a way to stop that. Like, we don't really have anything fast that can enable that. So
the mon you're thinking of is Weavile. You want beat up Weavile is what you're thinking of.
Basculin has Flip Turn.
Oh, okay. But it's not that fast. I mean, I guess 98's decent enough.
With the Scarf.
It's fastest mon.
You could scarf
fastest Pokemon on the team.
Yeah, you know, that's true, and I actually don't think that's as big of a deal as some of the other teams we looked at, because you have the Driftblim, which can Unburden Boost and set the fastest Tailwind in the format.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's actually why Driftblim's here, maybe. Colby, you were questioning its fit on the team, and I don't think
Yeah.
it needs to be offensive. I think it kind of just needs to sit there, take a Psychic Seed boost, activate its Unburden, and then start clicking its supportive moves in Tailwind and the other options. Does it get Strength Sap as well?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
totally
it does.
does, yeah.
Yeah, so
And Icy Wind, right?
yeah,
Yep.
it's got some good
Yep.
stuff going on. So
Tailwind, Icy Wind, Strength Sap,
yeah, I mean,
and
it's
a fourth move.
by no means a
Ooh,
perfect team,
baby.
but I really do enjoy it, honestly.
This is a cool team. It's an A for me for sure.
This team's got some like disastrous like if this team comes up against a Pelipper, which went undrafted, like Pelipper is so good against this team. Between wide guard, the unresisted flying attacks.
Ooh,
If,
wait,
like-
what? Ooh, that's aligned.
Yeah. So rain teams,
I'll put our
I
cursor on the
suspect,
flying.
are going to have a really good time against this team. Counter terrain. If you can, like, there is an electric terrain, there is a Rillaboom team, there is a Misty Surge team,
There's a Thwacky team.
there is a Thwacky team.
Thwacky
So,
also, yeah.
Yeah,
now, they may not play any of these teams.
Right.
Who knows?
and that's the fun of the Swiss. I don't know. I maybe I'm irrationally high on this team, but I'm gonna put this in A tier above the Mawles. I think it's one of my favorites so far, and maybe that's the homer in me really rooting for these Mons. I don't know.
I don't even think Ryan's that high on this team.
Well, you know what, Ryan?
I remember.
I'm your number one fan this season, Ryan. So there we go.
I know he was questioning his draft somewhere in the Discord.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan. So there you go, Ryan. You got one believer, but let's see how many believers we got for Samax's all random team. Steve, what
I
do
thought
we got
this was a
going
meme.
on here?
I didn't think Samex was serious.
So, as a fellow all-randomer myself, season 3, I think I did all-random. Ben also did an all-random
so.
after he won, which I believe was season 5. So, I gave him some all-random advice. So, he laid out some restrictions for himself. I believe the only restriction was that every draft had to provide a unique type, which is the same as what I did. Mind you, I did mine in tiers. This is point draft, so it's really weird. Somehow, he managed to get like 4 really good Pokemon right off the bat. He was not reorganizing his picks at all, so it was actually Sylveon. His backup was Gumshoes.
With Gumshoes, yeah.
And then he got the Arboliva, the Iron Bundle, and the Heatran. That is a good, strong 4 Pokemon. Like, you got the Fire, Water, Grass. You got the Fairy and the Steel. I don't think he has a Dragon.
Hakamo.
He does. Hakamo. Yeah, whatever. That's not coming. Trevenant was a trade, I believe. Now, when I did trades, I randomized them as well. He did not.
He did not, yeah.
So he specifically traded. I'm trying to find it.
He got rid of his
Dragalge.
Dragalge.
Yep, Dragalge, and there was one other Pokemon. Yep,
Piloswine.
Piloswine.
Pilot's one
For Trevenant and Bruxish. James, I believe you're also a Trevenant believer. I had great
Beat you with it.
Yes, you did. I had great success.
Yeah, I'm definitely a
Trevenant.
Trevenant believer.
Scyther is actually the highest attacking stat on this team, and a good Eviolite Mon. Quillfish gives him good Eviolite Intimidate. Probably not going to use Swift Swim or Poison Point ever. There is actually some good synergy here with Dedenne. It has Entrainment. If you pass Entrainment to something like you can't pass the Iron Bundle, Heatran, then its special attacks will be doing 1.5 times more damage. So that's probably the only time he'll bring Dedenne unless he wants to Electro Web. Does it even get Electro Web? I
It's
don't
so
know.
cool. Hold on.
Yes, plus pairs with plus, not just minus anymore. It does not get Electro Web. Bruxish
It's
blocks
Nuzzle.
priority. It does get Nuzzle, you're correct. Yeah. Bruxish blocking priority, also a good physical attacker with Strong Jaw. Wonder Skin is neat, but probably not going to come. And Meowth, why not? Hakamo does not get any of the cool dragon moves that Como gets, nor does it get Body Press, I believe.
So it's very sad.
Yeah, it does not get body press. So yeah, that thing's not coming. So this is
Overcosted.
Yeah.
basically a 9-mon team. Honestly, completely random. It could be worse. You got your
Totally.
debilitating poison weakness somehow. And a pretty... other than Heatran, Fairy's hitting you pretty hard. And other than Heatran, Steel's hitting you pretty hard.
Yeah, the team feels like it's going to be pretty reliant on Heatran, but I feel like most teams with Heatran are going to be that when it costs
Tend
22
to be
points.
relying on Heatran, yeah.
The
That was-
Firewater Grass core on this team, I will say, is really good. And having the two grass types, the two slow grass types, I feel like that's slightly negated when you have the Flash Fire on Heatran to sort of back them up. And Iron Bundle, obviously, scares away a lot of fire types as well. So, like Arboliva, Bundle, and Heatran, those three felt really nice to me for random picks. And I feel like Sylveon is just a super strong fairy. It's always one of the best fairies in the format, regardless of the format. So the first four feel pretty strong, in my opinion.
So, was it literally the only thing was it couldn't repeat types?
Yes, that was
the
it.
other thing.
Didn't he
That's
limit the first
crazy to
couple
me.
picks to like a point value too, though? Or no?
I there has to be something else because like fully half of all Pokemon on the tier list are 1 or 2 points.
I think he excluded 3 and below,
Oh, yeah. 3 and below.
Okay.
Yeah. He excluded 3
Okay.
and below. I forgot that.
which I think is a
Anyway.
reasonable choice. Otherwise,
Random
Yeah, I do
choices
too.
aside, I think this team is great. I think this team has real Pokemon. I think those Pokemon are all scary. I think they can all win a game on their own if you support them right, if the matchup is right for them. I think Quillfish and Scyther are excellent supports for this team. I think that Arboliva and Sylveon and Heatran make a great defensive core. And then Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle is really fast. It has a good physical defense. It has water and ice moves. I'm just saying things about these Pokemon, but I feel like I'm scared
Well,
of
I
this
do.
team.
yeah.
I feel like I'm looking at this team. I'm like, oh, those are some scary guys. And oh, look, the back half has some options too. What's he gonna bring? Is Bruxish gonna come this week and fuck me up? I don't know. This team's kind of scary, random or not. Like this team clicks the buttons. Like Heatran closes its eyes and clicks on Heat Wave. Bundle clicks on Icy Wind or Hydro Pump. Arboliva clicks on its moves, and Sylveon clicks on Hyper Voice. Like, I know what they're gonna do, and I don't know how I'm gonna beat it yet.
I mean,
I feel like it
based on
indexes
everything you
very.
just listed,
I feel
you
like it
should,
indexes very heavily on special attack, and that in general it will probably just lose to Snarl and Light Screen
Yeah.
and Wide Card.
and White. Yeah, Heat Wave.
Yeah, but it was a random pick, so
Heat Wave,
Hyper
Icy
Voice.
Wind, 2 Hyper Voice Mons.
Yeah, I mean, Scyther being your best physical attacker is probably not ideal, right?
not ideal.
I think Scyther's good. I had it a long time ago, but I don't know if it can pull that much weight. You know, it can set Tailwind for this team. It's really bulky with EV Light if you give it a good Terra. Samax is gonna do some fun things with this team, and
Sure.
as we've stated, for a random team, this is probably as best as you're gonna get. So he got some nice early picks that made him have a usable draft here. So if we're gonna slap this thing on the tier list, I'm honestly like, I kind of want to put it in like the B range personally.
I'd put it top of C. I do think it's better than the Dondozo team and Barat's team somehow.
Let me look at. I'm trying to decide if I like. I think I like Red Jolteon's team better. It's probably gonna be the bottom of B for me.
Yeah, so Red Jolteon's team is currently the bottom of B for me. I think I'm going to put Samax at the top of C.
Yeah, I may just slide it down to have a better distribution.
Yeah, sounds about
Man
right.
after
to
my
me,
own
too.
heart.
It's not a bad team, but it's not great.
All right. Moving on, we've got our very own Steve.
That's me.
What do we got going on here? Go ahead.
Okay.
Tell us your piece.
I really wanted Komo, and I didn't get that. And with my backup pick, I got King Gambit, so I started building around that. You got the great Tailwind option of Kilowattrel, the great fast Fake Out option of Ambipom, which personally I felt was very under-tiered. I would have paid way more for Ambipom. Similarly with Chandelure, I thought was under-tiered. Chandelure is an immense special attacker, with good speed if I want to go fast. Alternatively, I can set Trick Room to enable my slower mode of Appleton, Sandaconda, Probopass, which you may chuckle at, but they are all very useful, particularly the Sand mode of Sandspit plus Sand Force Probopass will do a shitload of damage. Run some calcs if you don't believe me. Appleton is a great endgame wall. I've got Tauros for the Intimidate. I've got Gotharita to trap if I want to do any setup, Swords Dance, Iron Defense, Body Press with Appleton. I got Coil Sandaconda. I've got Quiver Dance Venomoth. I've got Rage Powder to redirect if I don't want to bring Gotharita. And I got Fake Out if I don't want to bring either of those.
He's obscuring the true strat of this team, and that's
These are-
Frost Breath Snowrunt.
That is
We all see it.
exactly why I picked Snowrunt, yes. See, I was
These
looking
are
at...
all new Pokemon to you except for Sandaconda, right?
Correct, which I brought a single time. Actually, no, Gotharita I got to the finals.
Oh, you had
against Hay
Gotharita.
that one season, yeah. Just Gotharita and Sandaconda. And Sandaconda I only used once, and that was G-Max, so that barely even
That was
counts.
on your random team, right?
I don't remember.
I-
Maybe.
Could have been.
I will say, I am probably Chandelore's biggest fan. I love this Pokemon. I've had so much success with this thing, not only in Draft League, but on the ladder. It's so good with good Tailwind options. And the reason is that when you lead Chandelure plus your Tailwind option, it simplifies the game because Chandelure is immune to Fake Out, which means that you can devote your Tailwind setter to either run a Covert Cloak or run Protect or some way to know that the Fake Out, if it's there, is coming into that slot. So having a strong Ghost type that's a good lead is just such a powerful tool for your draft team. And Chandelure is a great one because not only can it take advantage of the Tailwind that you may set to deal heavy spread damage itself with a 145 special attack Heat Wave, which is the highest special attack in the format, tied with a couple other mons, I think, which is just incredible value for 14 points. But as you said, you can run a Sash on this thing and just set a Trick Room. You can run a Mental Herb and set a Trick Room, and then you can run a Quiet set. It's got 80 base speed, so if you run Min Speed Quiet, it can operate under Trick Room as well, and it gets decent supportive options in Wisp. It's just a really, really good mon for 14 points. Like, Chandelure is one of those mons you just slap into your 6 every week, and you could literally run the same set all season, and you're not even mad about it because it's just so consistent and good. And you have the good Tailwind setter to, kind of complement it in the Kilowattrel. So I'm pretty high on what you've got going on there. I will say, as far as, potent Tailwind threats, I would have liked to see maybe one more. Like, the Tauros appreciates the Tailwind, the Chandelure likes the Tailwind. But aside from that, I'm not really seeing anything that in that mid 70 to 80 to 90 range that would really appreciate the Tailwind to deal its strong damage. Everything else kind of likes either having Trick Room up or, it's just not really that threatening. Like the Venomoth, I'm not really too worried about its offensive output. So I would have liked to see maybe I'm wrong for that. You're giving me a face. I don't know. Maybe I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping on the Venomoth. But
Sleeping on the moth.
yeah.
90 special attack tinted lens. Ooh.
Oh, you'll see. You'll
right.
all see.
But yeah, I don't know.
We'll see him try. That's
I like
for sure.
I like what you're cooking here. I wish there was one more Tailwind abuse.
Yeah, the Trick Room mode feels a little stronger on this team. Appleton, we haven't said much about, but that is a very, very solid draft mon. Super bulky. You can run the typical body press shenanigans. That always is going to be good, but also 100 special attack is not bad at all. And Apple, whatever that move is that drops special defense 100% of the time is pretty good too. It feels like 100% when you use it. I mean, I think that's a really solid mon for the Trick Room mode, which is already going to be really strong with King Gambit. But I kind of agree with Sukaba. I would like to see maybe one more major threat that's not it doesn't have moth in its name, for your Tailwind mode.
Iron Moth?
No, not even that.
I'm not touching that mon with a 20-foot pole.
Who's exploding on this team, Steve?
Nobody, and I didn't even get a Parish song. My last pick, I was debating getting Altaria instead of Probopass, because that's the only Parish, or Wigglytuff was the other one to pair with.
Wigglytuff. How do you feel about Wigglytuff, James?
Wigglytuff is trash. I'll sub it into
It's a
the
bad
game.
Pokemon.
Yeah, but
It's not good.
I got big plans for this Probo Pass.
Everybody else draft it.
I
That
will
way,
say, Steve,
it's on my opponent's team.
as a fellow person who is heavily looking into Probo Pass, I believe, and this thing has really good stats. This thing is just gonna like win some games, and people are gonna be surprised. I feel like this is one of those mons that we probably tiered a little too low just because it's new to the format, and we didn't really give it like the attention it deserved. But with a 525 stat total, you got 150, 145, like defenses. It gets body press, it gets iron defense. Like this thing is actually not bad at all. Honestly, it gets sturdy. Come on, it's pretty good. It's worth more than 5 points. Let's be real here.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
I was about to hate on it, but I'm like, ooh, body press. Okay. Yeah.
No, I don't think
I'll
this
let
is.
Steve. Yeah, I'll let Steve test and see whether it's worth more than 5 points.
I think
How
it's
about
worth
that?
more than 5. I'd pay 7 for Probo Pass. Come on.
I
I
want to
don't
know.
think this is. I don't think this is one of the best teams I've ever drafted, but it's certainly more fun than the team I had last season, which was a good team, but I was bored out of my mind building every week because every week was just the same shit. And I was not repeating items, and I was still bored. All of the mons
Yeah.
were boring. All of these mons are fun.
I love to
Except
put
maybe
Steve
King
in. I love putting Steve in S tier every season, but I don't think this is going to be the season for it.
So what are we thinking tier list wise on this team?
Yeah, it's got Mons I like, but
It doesn't have
Nothing-
mons I don't like. I think this is an A.
yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't have Mons I don't like. Well, I don't really like
Snow
Sandcrawler,
Runt?
actually.
We all like Snow
I
Run.
don't snore. I nothing Snorunt.
I love Snowrun. Hold on. I love Snowrun. I'm Frost Rat.
Okay,
Ah.
I don't, but I don't hate it either. I nothing it.
I love finding these weird things between drafts. Did you notice that Electric also has Snowrunt and Probo Pass? What does it mean?
It's a
Hidden
conspiracy.
synergy.
You guys drafted 2 of the same mons?
I
Wild.
not
And
imagine
those
doing
two.
that. This one's the I'm gonna put this top of B for me. Like I like a lot of the mons, but I think it's just a little more underwhelming than maybe some of the other teams we've looked at. That's just my take on it. It's definitely gonna be good, but all these teams are pretty
Yeah, I
good.
think I'm putting this one right under Ryan's team, which
Yeah, I have
You're-
it just above
is
Ryan's.
the
in
bottom of
middle.
my A tier. So this is going to go to the top of B. So
You're sufficiently an A for me because your mons have big numbers and they're going to be fun.
That's fair.
Like, here's King Gambit, big number. Chandelure, big number. Appleton and Propaz, big numbers. A tier.
We also didn't really address the King Gambit at all, but it's really good. And, he has Defiant and Competitive. You're never bringing Intimidate into this team, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't know if you built into the King Gambit as much as you said that you were going to, but man, is it good.
it's real
Yeah.
good if you can enable
That's
it.
my Tailwind one. What are you guys talking about?
All right. So we're going to move on to my team, the Toga Kisses. Kobe, you wanted to take this one. What do you got for me? Lay it on me. I can take it.
I do. I will start with saying I'm not a Volbeat believer because I've seen Prankster Tailwind before and I'm like, eh. And I watched your video and you were very high on Tailglow Baton Pass. And I
Hell
go,
yeah.
huh.
Yeah, that's never gonna work, my
And
friend.
I go,
No, it's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
work. Trust, bro.
Tail-
Trust. It's going to work.
And I'm
Tailglow
like-
Baton Pass is
Gonna work every
pipe
week.
dream, and
and I go, okay,
like your
Sukaba's,
opponents all hope you bring it. By the way,
Sukaba's cooking something. But the team, Volbeat, Shiyu, Regidrago, okay, yeah, you're going to do special attacking things. You're going to do big damage. I get it. Where's your support? Then you hit me with the Slowbro Galar. I'm like, yes, that is the mon that supports these. I love the poison typing with them. I love the fact that it is both the recipient of the special and physical attack boosts. And then I love the Brute Bonnet on this team. I think that really fills out the fire, water, grass core with Slowbro, who is totally a water type still. Just feels like a water type. But using Brute Bonnet, considering Brute Bonnet as a support mon to help redirect things away from the Regidrago and the Chiyu, I think goes really, really well into this team. It's another team that you just have to respect or you will get exploded by really every one of these mons. Every one of these mons not only feels threatening, but feels kind of bulky. Chi is really bulky. Brute Bonnet's got some bulk. Inteleon isn't, but I feel both threatened by all of these Pokemon, and like I can't kill them in one hit, and that sounds like a cohesive strategy to me. Once you kind of look at the fact that everything after the Volbeat is both strong and kind of bulky and just needs a little bit more of something, that's when you come back to the Volbeat and you're like, oh, this is a Volbeat team. Sukaba drafted a prankster support Pokemon to pick one and he's going to go nuts with it. Of course. It's not Sableye, it's not Klefki, but this time it's Volbeat. I don't understand Volbeat. I don't understand Illumise. I don't really know what they do, but I know they click on prankster things, and I think that this is absolutely going to be.
Well, as another
champion.
Volbeat enjoyer, pairs perfectly with Slowbro Galar. I mean, those two together are just a match made in heaven. And I don't know about you, Sukaba, but for me, Volbeat just at 14 points felt like kind of a steal because its prankster move pool, and you discussed this in your video, is pretty wide. And it's considerably cheaper than other prankster mons that are doing very similar things in a lot of respects. It also gets that swagger stuff. Tail Glow, is it gonna happen?
Yes,
yeah, it
of
is.
course.
It's gonna happen.
You best
Everyone's
believe
multiple
I'm
times.
making it happen. I'm just gonna let the record say it right now.
never gonna
I'm
happen.
such
We're
a
both
believer.
making it happen.
It's happening.
It's gonna be Sukaba
It's so
versus
happening.
Daddy in the finals. You're gonna see Volbeat and Slowbro on the logo. That's what's gonna happen. We know it. They just don't know it.
They don't know it yet. They're
I
not
believe
seeing
gonna
the
happen
vision
when you're
here.
either 4-0 or 0-4.
Let me dream, okay?
But I think that the Regidrago with the in the Brute Bonnet edition late makes it even stronger. So Regidrago gets the opportunity to go first now. You have Redirection to support it. You have Chi-Yu to support that too. You know, Tail Glow aside, Regidrago is doing a lot of damage. And I think with the mons that you have around it, you did a really good job of emphasizing that mon too.
This is far and away my favorite team of the division. This is the best Regidrago team that we've seen since my team. And I didn't even have Tailwind then, or well, a good Tailwind. He's got Prankster Tailwind to go with the Regidrago Dragon Energy, and most of the time, that's all you're gonna need. And if the other team has a good Fairy or a good Steel type, you have Chi-Yu to take care of that. You have the random chance that Slowbro will one-shot the Fairy type on turn 1 because of Quick Draw.
You need
you
to
can-
respect it. It's
Yeah.
a thing. You just need to. You look at your board. You're like, "Ugh, if he clicks on the button and he has the ability, and I don't click on protect, then I'm gonna lose my fairy, and I'm gonna lose the game. So you have to respect it.
And now he has Earth Power, and he has Terra Blast. Like, it's so much better now, and this team actually takes advantage of it. What are you gonna do if you don't have something with Tailwind or Fake Out against a Scarf Regidrago Chi-Yu lead? If you don't lead your Fairy or your Steel type into that, both of your Mons are dying to Dragon Energy.
Yeah, and this team doesn't love when Trick Room gets set up on the opposing side, but you know, with these really powerful leads, you might be able to take out most Trick Room setters before they get a chance to set it up. The one thing I would be afraid of is a bulky Trick Room setter comes out and Terra's in front of Regidrago or Chi-Yu or something like that, and they do get Trick Room set up. Brute Bonnet's a nice option to go slow, but other than that, there's not a whole lot.
Halucha's cool.
Slow, bro.
I'm not-
Fuck.
I-
Shut up. All right, I take it back.
I'm not a
Yeah.
Halucha believer, but
Sorry,
I
what?
do like the way you can enable it with the swagger. I'm not a Halucha believer. I think it's dumb, but I think it's a cool threat here. Bottom half of the team: Nose Pass, Palisand, Ice Cube, and then the Tinkatink holding it away from everyone else who may want to draft it. Any use to these mons?
Those
the
pass
Palisand-
might get used. It has
Meh.
Iron Press. Tinkatink is never coming.
No.
Yeah,
Sukaba?
it's never coming.
Definitely.
Ice Cube probably is never coming. Maybe it
I
does.
disagree.
I don't know.
Belly Drum next to Rage Powder. If you do not respect Brute Bonnet enough to bring safety goggles, you have a +6 Belly Drummed Ice Cube next to you, and Brute Bonnet can even Sucker Punch the Ice Cube the following turn so that it gets that faster speed, and suddenly
Huge.
it's going to run you over with Ice
Mhm.
Spinners at +6.
Sukaba, any word on the Nose Pass, Palisand, Ice Cube core?
Well, you know, I'm actually kind of high on the nose pass for 2 points. Like, I think it was after Tay took the best 2-pointer in Duskull. I think it was probably like one of the next best 2-pointers, just because the stats you get on this thing are like actually kind of insane. Like, I ran a calc. You can live with Eviolite on this thing. You live choice banded surging strikes from Urshifu, which is just insane for a 2-point mon, like a baby mon, right? Like with the Eviolite. I know it has that 30 HP stat, which kind of holds back its bulk a little bit, but this thing can be legit as a wide guard support option. It does get the iron defense, body press set, you know, with
It's
135 defense. Yeah, with 135 defense as well. The body presses are actually hitting somewhat hard. So like you can't you can't disrespect its damage output as well if it's in the right matchup. I don't think nose pass is like an every weak kind of mon, obviously, but it's going to have its niche uses if I'm playing against strong spread damage, or against a good trick room option against a physical heavy lineup where I can iron defense and maybe set up an unkillable end game with rest sleep talk or something. You know, I think it definitely, it's, you know, it sounds great on paper. In practice, is it going to work? I don't know. We'll try it. I think my team is a little top heavy, and I'm going to end up bringing like, you know, probably like 5 of these first 6 or 7 most of the time, with maybe like a Palisand or Nose Pass or Ice Cube in there. So yeah, definitely not the best team I've drafted, but I think it's going to be fun.
I think it's one of the best.
Yeah, I agree. I like it overall. I think it's.
I put it firmly in
fun.
S.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite team of all the ones we've looked at tonight.
It's
There's
my
only one
favorite,
less,
but
though.
I'm extremely biased because I already know who's going to be in the finals, baby. It's going to be me and Zukawa.
I'm telling you, you guys are sleeping on the tail glow. Volbeat
Yes.
versus Volbeat. We both click substitute turn 1. Turn 2, we both click tail glow. Turn 3,
And then
we
we
both click baton pass. And then whoever
we
has the
both
better
for-
sweeper in the back wins. It's easy.
We both forfeit at the same time, and
easy.
we share the championship. We share the
Exactly.
glory.
We do it Harry Potter style, the House Cup.
Right.
Or no, the Triwizard Tournament. That's what it was. Except this time nobody's dying.
Yeah, that's.
Well, thanks
that's
for
what
ruining
your
the ending,
opponents are hoping
guys.
for.
I'm going to put my team in like the low A tier. Personally, I do like some of the other teams better, but yeah.
I like this team a lot. I also like Jace's team a lot, so it's tough for me to decide between those two.
All right. We got one more team, gentlemen.
Last team.
JDB,
Jay-
you're going to look at the GOAT of the VBL-S, but we're not assessing the coach. We're assessing the team. So what do we think
All
of
time.
Tay's team right here?
So we mentioned the Duskull already. I agree. I think it's a great pickup. Overall, I like this team. I think it might be because I like all these Pokemon, and not because it's like a super great team. It's got awesome stuff that I do like, right? It's got Thunderous Therian and Mamoswine for a super, super scary Discquake. It's got Infernape making its VBL debut, I believe, right? This is the first time Infernape's been legal.
BDSP.
BDSP, of course. But, so, that one barely counts. Infernape gets to show up and do fun things for the first time in a year and a half. I had Screamtail last season. I liked it. I think it's very good. If you're going to have one slow Pokemon, you could do a lot worse than Copperajah. I like Clawitzer. The Hydreigon, sits next to Mamoswine very, very well. It's a mon that loves to Terra on a team of Pokemon that don't necessarily need to be using Terra to be effective. I am not a Ditto believer. I think it's mostly a waste of a pick in Draft League teams. It's just too high of a cost of a Pokemon that you have to bring. Like, you have to bring it instead of some other Pokemon. And so I don't think I'll ever be on the Ditto train. But I know Tay much more is than I am.
We've seen it hard counter Amoonguss,
to
right?
great effect in finals matches before.
Yeah.
Bye, Tay.
But
It's
yeah,
also
exactly.
easier. Makes your team 1/6 easier to team build. You just put it on and just give it HP, and you're done.
A choice scarf or a
Scarf.
quick claw.
There
You're
you
good
go,
to go.
right.
There you go.
Or a bright powder.
Or a Sash.
Ugh.
Or citrus berry. I mean, there are choices to be made, but I'm personally not a Ditto believer.
So my question here is, why is Screamtail the first pick and supportive choice for this team? What does it do on this team that is? I don't know. I can't figure out exactly what Screamtail is doing besides being Screamtail, bulky, fast, support buttons. But I'm not sure which support buttons it's trying to click. Can you guys tell me which buttons Screamtail's going to click so I don't lose to it?
Thunderwave, Encore, and Disable probably.
I would say Trick Room as well is a really good
Yeah.
option on Screamtail for the mix-up. I mean, if you look at Tay's threats here, especially on the physical side, like the Kaparaja and the Mammoth both appreciate the Tailwind being up. Maybe the Mammoth to a lesser extent, but the Kaparaja is one of the best physical options on Tay's team, and he has a decent Trick Room mode. You know, even the Duskull, like I said in the last section, I think this was the best 2-pointer on the field for sure. This thing is really good. Like, it has Nightshade, it gets the Will-O-Wisp, it gets everything that you love about Dusclops. And yeah, it's not as bulky, but it's still really bulky. Like, those defenses with Eviolite are really good, even with a 20 HP stat. So get that thing going under Trick Room, and Frisk for the utility. Really, really good. So his Trick Room mode is definitely there, right? So maybe the Screamtail is that versatile support that can be running, you know, the Disable Encore stuff, the Thunderwave stuff, but it can also be that Trick Room mix-up that this team really needs.
Also, I think Spite Ups is kind of a sort of good anti-Trick Room mon. It's got Circle Throw. Honestly, for 1 point, I think it's a steal. I think it's better than everything in 2 points also. Maybe that's just me, but Circle Throw, and then it's got that Protect that slows the opponents too, so you cancel out their Trick Room, you know, get that Trick Room setter out of there. Slow down the opponents at the same time. If you keep it alive, it's doing damage with moves like Lunge. You know, it will come at least once.
He's joking, right? This is
No, I specifically brought it to counter a Trick Room team that had a Terra Grass Cerulege, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, Sam got Spite Ups.
He got Spite Ups.
For 1 point, I'm not saying that this is like,
Yeah,
oh my god, he's going to bring it every week. I'm not saying that, but it's there as an option.
So
It is definitely the best Pokemon in 1 point.
Yeah,
for
by
sure.
far.
I do think Screamtail is a great first pick if your plan is hold a bunch of your points to the end and grab the best of what's left. Like I think spending
great strategy.
Spending points and early picks on a very good support Pokemon is a good way to make whatever is available good at the end.
Was anyone actually thinking that Tay would go and only spend 90 of his points by the end of the
Yes,
draft?
that's exactly what I thought.
I didn't think that for a second.
When he picked Duskull, I was like, all right, he's only using 80 points.
Yeah. This team feels like good stuffs with Screamtail and like Tailwind from Hydreigon, but they're good stuff. I feel like I'm in Gen 5 right now. Is anyone a Clawitzer believer? I'm explicitly not a Clawitzer believer. I just don't think it does anything.
I like Clawitzer, but it's not great. I think it's appropriately costed, and maybe I would pay 1 more point for it because I like it. But not necessarily I like it because it's great, just because I think it's cool and fun.
Speed tier is awful. The bulk is bad. It doesn't have terrain support on this team.
It's a glass cannon, I think.
And it's, yeah.
Well, it doesn't get terrain pulse
one.
anymore.
Oh, it doesn't have terrain pulse?
Unless it has it again, but it didn't have... It lost it in Gen 9.
What a trash one. Yeah.
No, it does not.
Terra Blast count?
Honestly, let's be honest. What does get terrain pulse? Only Arbalova gets terrain pulse in this format. That's literally it. And I guess
probably just picking energy ball anyway.
Rude.
Yeah, rude.
Now, I know Jace made a point in the Discord that there's not good Howl receivers on this team for Screamtail, and I just disagree. Mamoswine and Infernape are incredible
both good
receivers.
Howl receivers, yeah.
Physical
Especially if you
Hydreigon.
manage. Yeah, physical Hydreigon too, with Head Smash, you know, or Outrage. If you manage to get some speed control up before you have to get up those Howls, you know, like a Protect, or no, just Fake Out, and then you Thunder Wave them on that's faster than Infernape, and then you start howling.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something devastating about a Screamtail lead, where it's just so threatening because it changes the way you play the game. You know, like the fact that it has a really fast Encore definitely discourages Protects, which I think this team can definitely use to its advantage. And, you know, he has those like supportive options that you're looking for. In addition to it, that can also be offensive. Like the Hydreigon can set Tailwind, but it can also deal heavy damage next to the Screamtail, right? Like the Thunderous T is going to be sitting there, and it's going to be clicking the what's the funny bolt button with the
Wild Bolt Storm.
Yeah, Wild Bolt Storm.
Yeah.
It's going to click that, and it's going to be great. It has Disquake, really good Disquake in Mamoswine, and Thunderous T is really strong Disquake, perhaps even one of the strongest that's available in this on these teams.
I want to point out one other thing, and I think that, Tay, if you're watching this, you need to make a trade. You are obligated to trade something to pick up a rock type. Trade out your Cloudster for a Barbaracle. Trade out Kaparaja for, what's a steel rock type? I don't know, Probopass.
Are Barracles in the game?
No, but it's a steel. It's
Okay.
okay. Trade it for Dreadnought. Trade it for Dreadnought. That one's better.
Okay.
Don't
It's like,
trade
what?
your Clawitzer for Dreadnought.
But look at his type count on the bottom.
That's true.
Ugh.
Oh, just for visual purposes.
Go
Oh,
get
I
a
get
rock type, please.
I see.
Well,
Dreadnought.
but he can't lose a type.
Yeah.
No, Clawitzer.
it. No, that's
for
why I say
Dreadnought.
Water
Yeah.
Rock.
It's actually pretty
Uh,
impressive he was able to get that, considering he picked
Is there a
5
1-point
monotypes.
rock slug?
Yeah.
He could
That's
find a way to get Empoleon for that water steel type without losing.
if you do that, then I'll bump your my evaluation up a letter tier.
Wow.
That's
I also suspect Tay will never run Wild Bolt Storm because Tay plays a consistent way, and an 80 accuracy move is not consistent.
Does he have gravity?
Actually, that
Screamtail.
got added to a bunch of
Does
mons.
Screamtail get gravity now?
feels
No,
like
It's
it
not
doesn't.
on this deck.
Does not.
oh well.
Does not. Yeah, definitely does not.
He could run
Pick up
Rain
a rock
Dance
type with gravity,
It's-
please.
It's 100% accurate, but
Carbink.
Wait,
Carbink
Duskull.
is a rock type with gravity.
Duskull gets gravity.
oh, there you go.
Oh,
Wow.
That's why he got
at least
Duskull.
20 speed gravity.
There you go.
25.
Is it worth clicking gravity just for Wild Bolt Storm? Maybe.
No, it's worth clicking gravity so
Maybe.
you can get sticky webs with your Spite Ops. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. All right. Well, where are we gonna tier Tay's team?
Put it on the list.
In the middle of
High.
B.
I think it's high B, low A. I think maybe I like it a little more than everybody else, but I like it better than Ryan's team.
It's in B for me so that I can bump it to A when it gets a rock type.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
interesting.
I think I do like it more than Ryan's team.
I don't have a single S tier team from this conference.
That's because
I
it's
have
yours.
I have one. It's
I have
Sakaba's.
one, and it's yours. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because the power level's lower. Because I feel like usually we end up having like 2 to 3 in S tier, but these
Well, the
teams
power
are
level's lower. That means the S tier has to
be shifted to accommodate it. Yeah, that's fair.
See, this is why I regret not doing it. This is why my everything goes in B system was so great, and then you just fix it at the end, and then I should have done it again, but I didn't. That's
All right.
okay.
Well, gentlemen, we just reviewed 16 Hearthstone conference teams. In this video, I guess it's 8 and 8, but a little bit more digestible for the viewers at home. But I had a blast, and I really appreciate all you guys for coming in and talking Pokemon. This is one of my favorite moments of every draft season, and I certainly look forward to the next one already, right? And this is just a great time. Thank you so much for coming out. And guys, please be on the lookout for a Teal Spring version of this coming up later this week to you guys. We got to get together again to record a whole other conference of Pokemon teams. How great is that? So thank you for watching, everybody, and we will see y'all for a great season of matches. Take care.